The devil's in the details, and Satan gets busy. That's the last message that Vonita Lennon posted to her Facebook page. And her boyfriend, Jason Bloomfield, was found shot to death. And this was after a week, and went on about her day like nothing ever happened. Never did report it, right? No, she didn't say nothing. Jason's body was found by his 15-year-old son and the son's mother. And this was a gruesome discovery, because this Florida woman left her living boyfriend's corpse behind for his 15-year-old son and ex-baby mother to find. You shot straight, but you shot late. High 11. This is the Rundown Podcast.
I'm going to give you the rundown.
An unsettling discovery of a man's body in his home last November has led to the arrest of a Florida woman accused of murder and fraud. Authorities allege that Vonita Lennon, 37, killed her boyfriend, Jason Bloomfield, 46, and left his body hidden for a week before it was found by the victim's teenage son and mother. And the incident came to light on November 29, 2024, when Bloomfield's 15-year-old son and mother entered the Cape Coral residence after days without contact from him. And according to investigators, the pair used the back door that had previously been removed from its hinges to gain entry. Inside, they discovered Bloomfield's decomposing body concealed beneath clothes and blankets. Police reported that it indicated he suffered multiple gunshot wounds leading up to his death.
Nobody knows me like you do. Nobody don't love me like you.
Investigators say that Lennon also contacted Jason Bloomfield's sister from his phone, claiming that he had left with an unidentified woman. The content and timing of these messages were described as out of character by the victim's family, who noted that the texts appeared usually short, but these were unusually lengthy and were sent late at night, a departure from Bloomfield's typical communication habits. When questioned by officers after returning to the scene in Bloomfield's BMW, Lennon reportedly spun conflicting stories regarding her whereabouts and relationship status, at times blaming an ex-girlfriend for recent turmoil. Witnesses recall Lennon acting erratically and offering inconsistent accounts of her last encounter with Bloomfield, and at one point changing her supposed date of their final argument multiple times. Neighbors relayed to police that Lennon was aggressive during the days following Bloomfield's death and expressed fears for their own safety due to her behavior. Investigators found evidence suggesting that Lennon tried to enlist others to corroborate her alibi and dissuade them from speaking to authorities.
You know what's real funny? People don't see the wrong in their actions until you do the same thing to them. Now you the villain.
Now, the neighbors relayed to police that Lennon was aggressive during the days following Jason Bloomfield's death and expressed fears for their own safety due to her behavior. Investigators found evidence suggesting that Lennon tried to enlist others to corroborate her alibi and dissuade them from speaking to authorities. Wow. The police report also states that after Bloomfield's death, Lennon used his bank account to transfer $500 to herself via Zelle and continued to drive his vehicle, his BMW. Weeks later, she posted on Facebook about Satan gets busy in what appears to be a reference to facing adversary, according to court documents citing the public post. Wow. Lennon has been charged with second-degree murder, with the firearm and fraudulent use of personal identification information and of a deceased person, that is. She has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Officials confirmed that she remains in custody without bond as she awaits trial. The case remains under active investigation as police continue piecing together evidence and interviewing potential witnesses. No other suspects have been identified in connection with the case. Authorities have not released further details regarding the possible motive, but evidence cited in charging documents underscores what investigators describe as a deliberate attempt to mislead both family and law enforcement after the alleged killing. Now, Vonita would take to her Facebook page to post that about Satan Gets Busy less than a month after she gunned down her boyfriend and left his body to rot for a week inside their home, where it was later found by the man's teenage son and mother, according to cops there in Broward County. Now, like I said, that body was found a week later by the son and the mother, and Vonita Lennon was charged with second-degree murder with the firearm and fraudulent use of her boyfriend's identification. And this is all after he's deceased, of course. Now, after Lennon tried to create that alibi about killing her boyfriend, Jason, by speaking to the neighbors and sending text messages to Bloomfield's family from his cell phone after the murder, right? In that probable cause statement, right, Lennon even tried to paint his death as a possible suicide while speaking to investigators, going so far as to pull off a fake cry during her communication with the law enforcement on the scene. Wowzers. Yikes. That's diabolical, you guys. I'm with my friend from the past, Lennon allegedly wrote in a message to Bloomfield's sister from the alleged victim's phone, who was already deceased. You don't remember her, the white girl from Lee County, she said, according to police. Me and Vita aren't working out, so she went back to her family's house, and I'm single now. She can take all the stress that's going on in the car and the living situation and having no hot water, so whatever. After calling police, Bloomfield's mom identified Lennon as his girlfriend and brought up the messages sent from his phone to Bloomfield's sister, claiming the couple had broken up. The sister allegedly told cops that the texts were unusually long and sent late at night compared to the usual time he sends her messages. Love you, sis. Going to bed now. Gotta work in the morning. One of the texts allegedly read on November 24th, 2024. The sister said she began texting with Lennon and received messages that also stood out. He left last night with a woman, potentially, Lennon allegedly said. He's been seeing his ex behind my back, but it's okay. We are friends now. So I guess, now she's sending messages as herself, okay, not as her deceased boyfriend like she was trying to play it off in the messages before. Now, describing the last time she saw Bloomfield, Lennon allegedly claimed that he was sleeping when she left that morning. He had to be at work last night. He wasn't feeling well, but I don't know if he went in or not, Lennon allegedly told the sister. The claims about the ex also came up in Lennon's conversation with police after she drove up to the murder scene in his BMW on November 29, 2024, following the body discovery. Family members began shouting that Vonita killed Bloomfield, the probable cause statement says. And this is what the probable cause statement says right now, because I don't want to read the ending of the content until we get there. But this is what she said in the probable cause statement as well. On November 29th, 2024, at approximately 11:40 a.m., Fort Lauderdale police received a 911 call from a 15-year-old who said that he found his father identified as Jason Bloomfield, who was with his grandmother, right? And a third known person said that they went to check on his father after they had not heard from him since Friday, November 22nd, 2024. Blank advised that upon their arrival at the residence, they found the front door to the apartment was locked. The family members knew that the side back door was off its hinges and the door could be removed and the apartment could be accessed without a key. Wow. And they were able to move items that were blocking the side back door, and he forcibly removed the door from its hinges, which allowed them to enter the unit. They went into the unit and unlocked the front door for his grandmother and entered through the front door from the apartment and immediately smelled a foul odor. They was unable to see her son and noticed that the living room sofa had been pushed up against the door that led to a small back room. And they stated that they had pushed the sofa away and opened the door to the small bedroom. After opening the door, they saw victim Jason Bloomfield, deceased, lying on the floor of the small room. And immediately they left the apartment and called 911. Fort Lauderdale police officers responded to the scene and pronounced Jason deceased at 11:50 a.m. that morning. Patrol officers exited and secured the area to maintain the integrity of the crime scene until homicide detectives arrived. Now, a lot of this stuff is redacted, so that's why, some of the words might sound kind of skip over-ish, if I'm reading this and it makes you feel like some of the stuff isn't going together. That's because some of this is redacted and I'm putting it together. So your find arrived on the scene at approximately 12:53 p.m. Your find entered the apartment and noticed it was unkempt and had a strong decomposing odor within the apartment. Your find saw that the deceased victim in the small bedroom adjacent and to the left of the front entrance living room, the decedent had long dreads and was lying on his right side and his body was in the decomposing stages. Your affiant, that means the person who was leading the investigation, your affiant observed blood around the decedent's head and body area. Blood was also seen on scattered rags and blankets within the room, which was not consistent with the position of the victim's body or a person who had died from natural causes or even doing something to their self, if you know what I mean. Based on the victim's family stating that the sofa had to be moved in order to gain access to the small room, your affiant believes that the homicide had occurred and the scene was secured to obtain a search warrant. Now, earlier when I told you that Vonita drove up to the crime scene while the police were, investigating her boyfriend's death, his body had just been discovered a week later, right? This is what it says in the probable cause. While on the scene, your affiant spoke with the decedent's mother, and she stated that her son Jason had a girlfriend named Vonita Lennon. According to the mother, Vonita had been living with Jason for approximately 1 or 2 months. So that means Vonita, the girlfriend, was actually living with the boyfriend, right? So she hadn't been there. They hadn't, been staying together long before this occurred. And they said that Vonita had allegedly left the apartment abruptly on Saturday night, November 23rd, 2024, and had told Jason's sister, identified, and it's redacted, so told his sister that she and Jason had broken up, and also stated that Vonita had taken Jason's car, described as a silver BMW with broken windows, when she left on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. It was said that Vonita and Jason were in the process of being evicted from the apartment due to the property being sold. Jason's son, the 15-year-old, told your affiant, the lead detective, that his father owned a handgun and he kept it in the drawer next to the bed. The 15-year-old stated that when he entered the apartment looking for his dad on November 29, 2024, he checked that drawer and his father's gun was missing. Your affiant also spoke with the victim, Jason's sister, identified as blank, who stated that she last saw her brother on Friday, November 22nd, 2024, at his apartment at approximately 4:30. Your affiant spoke with the victim, Jason's sister, identified as his sister, because like I said, this information has been redacted. She stated that she last saw her brother, Jason, on Friday, November 22nd, 2024, at his apartment at approximately 4:30 p.m. And also stated that she received a suspicious, lengthy text message from blank. I'm pretty sure that was the girlfriend on Saturday night, November 23rd, 2024 at 11:30 p.m. and said that the text message was unusually long and sent late at night compared to Jason's typical text messages. And like I said, the girlfriend was texting the sister's phone that night, making it look as if that was Jason, right? But it was, actually the girlfriend, Vonita, who had just murdered Jason and trying to establish an alibi, right? Like he was still alive. Wowzers. Yikes. Now, this next part right here is, already have been read earlier in the article, but it has a little bit more context to it. It says, thanks. I'm with my friend from the past. You don't remember her, the white girl in from Lee County. Me and Vita aren't working out, so she went back to her family's house, and I'm single now. She can't take all the stress that's going on in the car and the living situation and having no hot water, so whatever. But I'm still waiting on Amazon to send the drivers and the 2 back windows. I can. So this is what, it's saying. That's how it's worded also. So it kind of sounds crazy, but I guess this is exactly the text that was sent. We'll let you know when it happens. Just haven't found anyone that's reliable for the price. I'm thinking that's what it says. But the word reliable, it looks like, is redacted for whatever reason. But yeah, man, this is what she allegedly tried to cover up, as if it was Jason saying this, but this was actually the girlfriend Vonita sending these messages. Check it out. Trying to find a place. She can't take all the stress that's going on in the car and the living situation and having no hot water, so whatever. But I'm still waiting on Amazon to send the drivers and the 2 back windows. I can. So it says this again. I don't know, if that's because she sent the message twice, maybe. Who knows? The messages go on to say, but I'll keep you posted. Okay, love you, sis. Going to bed now. Got to work in the morning. Love you. Good night, sis. Kissy face emoji. Alleged text messages sent from his cell phone to his sister on November 23rd, 2024 at 11:30 p.m. Blank showed Jura find another text message she received from Blank's cell phone on Sunday, November 24th, 2024 at 10:34 p.m., which said, okay. Blank also showed Jura find numerous text messages that she received from her brother's current girlfriend, Vonita Lennon. And it said that she received messages from 2 different cell phone numbers from Vonita, identified as one text now and one from T-Mobile. Said that on Sunday, November 24th, 2024 at 2:58 a.m., she received a text from Vonita Lennon's cell phone that said, okay, dude, we might have to go separate ways, which is affordable at the moment until we can both afford to move. You can take care as well. Wow. That's kind of odd that, she would send this to the sister of her deceased boyfriend, right? It's kind of weird, isn't it? Out of nowhere. Huh? Wowzers. Jason's sister said on Sunday, November 24th, 2024 at 11:07 a.m. she received text from Vonita's cell phone that read, "Aw, thanks. He left last night, so I was told. But the woman but he's been seeing his ex behind my back, but it's okay. We are friends and he still is allowed me to use dad's car to work, but I'm currently waiting on 2 windows I ordered to help out. That's the least I can do, but I have to talk with you verbally by phone later if that's possible. And what would be a good time? I have to get the rest of my things, and he was sleeping when I left for work this morning. He had to be at work last night. He wasn't feeling well, but I don't know if he went in or not. Really can't babysit. Talk to you later, and I'll let you know as soon as I find somewhere to move. I'll clear out my things and let you know when plans on doing, but he's not answering his phone," talking about Jason, "since I left this morning. I've been calling to check on him." The sister showed the detectives more text messages that were sent from Vonita Lennon on her other cell phone on November 25th 2024, that Monday at 7:18 a.m. And the messages said, "Good morning, this is Vita. I left the car parked at my uncle's house because Jason was not home when I went there after work, and he left. She said she saw him get in a black truck the other day and night, and that's the night we broke up." Interesting how they worded that. She saw him get in a black truck the other day at night, and that's the night we broke up. Now, the sister said that at 6:19 p.m. on Monday, November 25th, 2024, Vonita text from another number saying, "Okay, thanks, love you. I'm filing a missing person report for Jason. I'm filing a missing person report for Jason." She said that twice in the messages because it's not right. All of a sudden, something ain't right with Jason. Now, right here is where, she thought she was so smart, but she was really stupid. Your fine checked the police records, and Vonita Lennon did not make a missing report for a missing person for Jason Bloomfield at any time. Wow. Your fine obtained a sworn statement from a witness whose identification is known by law enforcement, but will not be named on this document at this time. Due to their safety for the warrant, the witness's name will be referred to as, and it's redacted. It stated that on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, between the approximate times of 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m., they heard several gunshots at or near the property, okay? And it stated that a short time after they heard the gunshots, Vonita Lennon confronted them and asked if everyone was okay and if they had heard the gunshots. Really? And they said that Vonita said, "My girlfriend down the street fired those gunshots." Right, her girlfriend down the street fired those gunshots. Really? Vonita also asked, "Are you a snitch?" Blank stated that Vonita was acting aggressive and they feared for their safety and replied that they were not a snitch. Blank said that Vonita, her and Blank, Jason, just broke up. Blank stated that no one has seen Jason after hearing the gunshots on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, until he was discovered deceased on November 29, 2024 by his family. A second subject, whose name is known by law enforcement, stated that on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, they heard approximately 4 gunshots, and a few moments later, 2 more gunshots were heard. The subject stated that the gunshots sounded muffled. The subject said a short time later, Vonita exited and began talking to Blank. And that's redacted. I don't know what it says. But on November 29, 2024, at approximately 12:56 p.m., while your fine, the lead detective, and FLPD patrol officers were on scene, Vonita Lennon drove up to the apartment, and Vonita was driving Jason's silver BMW Florida tag, and Vonita was the sole occupant, all by herself, solo dolo, right? And this is after she went bolo. Family members of Jason immediately informed patrol officers that Vonita was the girlfriend to Jason, and the vehicle that she pulled up in was Jason's car. And family members began shouting that Vonita killed Jason. Vonita was approached by FLPD patrol officers and guided away from the BMW. Vonita, who was being recorded on FLPD patrol officers' body-worn cameras, BWC, immediately asked if Jason had a heart attack. Really? Out of all the things to come up with, that quick, fast, and in a hurry, tried to play it off. Well, did he have a heart attack? Why a heart attack, Vonita? Vonita then started rambling about an ex-girlfriend of Jason's that had allegedly broken out his car windows several months ago during the floods. Vonita explained to patrol that she had just gotten off of work at 12:30 p.m. and had seen a text from Jason's sister, and it said that he had been found dead. Vonita said she had rushed right over. Vonita also stated, "I know that Jason has heart problems." So, Vonita told officers that her phone number was what it was, because I don't want to put it out there. But I don't know why she told them that, this is her phone number. What they got to do with anything, right? But she did say that she had seen a text message from Jason's sister that said he had been found dead, okay? Officers asked Vonita if she had moved out of Jason's apartment, obviously, because she was too afraid, and Vonita said, no, he left me. But the mother said it was his apartment. So why would he leave his apartment with you all by yourself when, he don't have to go nowhere? You was the one that needed to leave. But anyway, no, he left me, she said. She seen him jump in a car, Vonita said. Jason kicked her out 2 days before Thanksgiving and said she was at her granddad's house at 939 South Dixie Court, 107 Fort Lauderdale. Vonita then started talking about Jason's health problems, stating that he had seizures, heart problems, blood clots in his legs, and had to have his toe amputated. Vonita then stated that Jason possibly committed something to himself, if you know what I mean. Wow. She was just lying her ass off at this point, right? Vonita began fake crying with no tears, and after hearing Jason's mother screaming across the street, Vonita then abruptly stopped her crying and said that it's not fair because police didn't get the tag of the suspects from the vandalism on the BMW after the flooding months ago. Then Vonita then said after Jason had allegedly jumped back into the black truck, she took that moment to leave the apartment, and Vonita said, I hauled ass. Wow. Yeah, after you killed him. Vonita also stated that she was on the toilet when she heard the gunshots, and she jumped off the toilet. Vonita said that after hearing the gunshots, she got in the shower and then went to her granddaddy's house. Hold on now. So you didn't go try to see what those gunshots was about and where they were coming from? Obviously, it was right there in the apartment with Jason being shot multiple times. And how he shoot himself multiple times, right? Seems like after somebody would, shoot themselves one time, they wouldn't have no other times to shoot themselves if it's, being shot in the upper torso, above that area in the head, right? How could they shoot themselves multiple times above the torso? This doesn't make sense. But, okay, Vonita repeated that. My homegirl called and said, did you hear that? Gunshots. I got in the shower and left, but never once checked on Jason. After all those gunshots being let off in that apartment right there where, I'm pretty sure, well, now we know she's the one that did it. But how would she not hear that coming from inside the apartment is diabolical for her to lie about, right? And Vonita began asking for her sun-kissed soda, cell phone, and 2 bags from Jason's BMW. Crazy work. Well, satanic work, because Satan was definitely busy. On scene, Jason's sister stated to the lead detective that her deceased father was the owner of the BMW. So obviously the father was, letting his son Jason drive the BMW. And after the murder, the girlfriend jumped in the car and was cruising around for a couple of days. And she was currently in probate to transfer ownership of the property, said the sister, as well as the BMW from Jason's name back to hers. Wow. The sister said that her brother Jason had been using the BMW with her permission and stated that the police had her permission to search the vehicle if needed. You're fine. The lead detective entered the vehicle and observed an Android cell phone in plain sight on the center console next to a sun-kissed soda. You're fine retrieved the sun-kissed soda, and You're fine gave Vonita the soda. You're fine knew that victim Jason's cell phone was possibly missing, and Vonita had also requested her cell phone from the victim's BMW. It was unclear whose Android cell phone was in the center console. You're fine also knows that if a cell phone is powered off or dies, it can be impossible to retrieve information without a passcode. Knowing that the Android cell phone could be possibly powered off, the affiant removed the cell phone, a Revel 4 Plus, from the BMW for preservation purposes, and the cell phone was placed in airplane mode until a search warrant could be obtained. The silver BMW 325 IFL tag was secured and later towed to Westway 775 Northwest 5th Avenue, Fort Lauderdale. Yellow Circle recovered Android Revel 4 Plus and Sunkiss. On November 29, 2024, Vonita Lennon was driven to the Kaplan building at 1515 West Cypress Creek Road, Fort Lauderdale, where she voluntarily spoke with the detective. The detective met with Vonita in the interview room, and Vonita said her address was 939 South Dixie Court, 107, and she lived there with her granddad. Vonita said her cell phone number was listed, and she had a second text now number that she could not remember the number to. Vonita was in a playful, laughing mood and spoke with our detective about superheroes and Johnny Cash. You're a fine, read Vonita her Miranda rights, and she agreed to speak with me. Vonita said that she and Jason had been dating, and she stayed with Jason. And Vonita said that she and Jason argued a couple of days before Thanksgiving, November 28, 2024. But then Vonita changed her story to they were arguing on Sunday, November 24th, 2024, before finally saying it was Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Vonita said that she was in their bathroom in their apartment when she heard gunshots. Vonita said that she came out and couldn't find Jason, so she went in the neighbor's apartment, half naked, and knocked on the door window and asked if she heard the gunshots. Vonita then said she decided to leave since she could not find Jason. Vonita said that she looked everywhere for Jason except the room behind the sofa, which was a creepy room with roaches and contained the property of the old white lady that had lived there before she died. Vonita told the find that she left around 10:30 p.m. in Jason's BMW and said she had to work the next day at 5:50 a.m. Really? Wow. The detective asked Vonita if she immediately left the residence while being half naked, and Vonita said no. She showered first and then left to go to her granddad's. Vonita said that she did not have Jason's real cell phone and Android, but did have his iPhone that had no service. Vonita said she did not know where Jason's black Ruger 9mm handgun was at or his cell phone. Vonita continued to talk about the ex-girlfriend named Blank, redacted, and Vonita said she knew it wasn't safe at Jason's place, even though she stayed there until Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Vonita also admitted that she went back to the apartment on Sunday, November 24th, 2024, and all her stuff was conveniently packed and sitting by the front door of Jason's. Vonita said that she went back to the apartment on Monday, November 25th, 2024, and said she parked at the neighboring apartments and walked over. Now, why would she do that? Vonita said that all of the stuff was packed up in a basket just inside the front door. Vonita told the detective that she thinks Jason has been dead inside since the day before Thanksgiving, and then Vonita mentioned that Jason had been messaging with his sister. Really? At no point in the interview did Vonita ask the detective what happened to Jason or how he died. That's suspicious. That's very, very, very suspicious. Well, she didn't have to ask because she knew she shot him to death. Vonita had texted Jason's sister on Sunday, November 24th, 2024 at 11:07 a.m. I have to get the rest of my things, and he was sleeping when I left for work this morning. He had to be at work last night. He wasn't feeling well, but I don't know if he went in or not. Can't babysit well. This information contradicted Vonita's interview with the detective, where she stated that she had left on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, after she showered at 10:30 p.m. and she could not find Jason. Wow. See how lies catch up with you in the end. It's the little things that get you caught. As the detective spoke with Vonita Lennon on November 29th, 2024, Detective M. Benson authored a dwelling search warrant for the residence, and the Honorable Judge Tim Bailey signed it. On November 29, 2024, at approximately 6:15 p.m., your detective, Affiant, along with Detective Benson and Fort Lauderdale crime scene investigator CSI Stacy Norcross, executed the search warrant for the residence. The apartment had one bathroom with a toilet, sink, and shower, a kitchen, a living room area, and contained a queen-size bed that was positioned on the western wall. Within the living area was a door located on the eastern wall behind the 3-cushion sofa. According to Jason's mother, never used that spare small room behind the sofa, and it contained garbage from the white lady who had lived in the unit in the past. Really? Wow, that's crazy. It's creepy. Once inside the apartment, Detective Benson and other detectives observed the queen mattress was on a box spring with no sheets. The mattress was flipped upside down with the pillow top facing down, which is typically unusual. Jason's son stated that his father would never have slept on the mattress with the pillow top facing down. Also stated that his father had purple colored sheets on his bed with a soft brown blanket and a lined blanket at the foot of the bed. The detective, along with Detective Benson, lifted the mattress and observed 3 spent 9mm shell casings under the mattress, between the mattress and the box spring. Detective Benson also observed 3 more spent shell casings inside the top drawer next to Jason's bed, the south side of the room. One of the spent casings appeared to have dried blood on it. Also in the same drawer were several live rounds. In the living room area at the foot of the queen-size bed, detectives and CSI observed dried DNA on the floor by the sofa. The DNA appeared to have drag marks in it, and the drag marks appeared to point toward the spare room, which contained Jason's body. Jason's body was positioned just inside the doorway of the small room, with his head pointing south and his feet pointed north. Jason's body was in the stages of decomposition. Jason's body was partially covered with miscellaneous clothing and blankets. Jason was wearing gray underwear with camouflage shorts, which were slightly pulled down towards his thighs, with a teal-colored t-shirt and socks. On the crime scene, the initial examination of Jason's body revealed that he had several defects in his head and neck area around the defect on the side of his right bicep and a possible defect on his back. This suggested that Jason was shot multiple times numerously. Due to the decomposing state of Jason's body, we were unable to determine additional injuries on scene. On November 30th, 2024, at approximately 8:27 a.m., Dr. Eli of the Broward County Medical Examiner's Office performed an autopsy on victim Jason Bloomfield. The cause of death was determined to be numerous gunshot wounds to the victim's body, and the manner of death was ruled as a homicide. On November 30th, 2024, at approximately 10:45 a.m., Detective Benson arrived back to the scene at the apartment, and CSI Norcross and K. Peabon were already on the scene. CSI Norcross and Peabon processed the only bathroom inside the apartment. Inside the shower was a laundry basket containing wet clothing and purple bedding that was consistent with victim Jason's son's description of his father's bedding that he kept on the bed. When the items were pulled from the basket, a strong odor of bleach could be smelled. The initial examination of the items collected revealed presumptive blood on the purple bedding. Several presumptive DNA droplets were also found on the shower floor beside the laundry basket. A wet mop was also inside the shower next to the laundry basket. The mop head smelled of bleach, and there was presumptive blood in the mop head and a presumptive DNA spot on the handle. CSI moved the coffee table and rug, and they were directly in front of the 3-cushion sofa in the living room, and they found dried DNA along with shoe impressions within the dried DNA. Wow. Presumably those are Vonita's footprints in that dried up DNA, you guys. Several bleach bottles were located inside the unit, including one that was just outside of the bathroom entrance. Upon further examination of the bleach bottle just outside the bathroom, guess what? CSI discovered 2 spent 9mm shell casings inside that bottle. Wow. Thought she was slick, huh? Really? Additional spent 9mm casings were located near the front entrance of the residence, as well as a bullet hole on the front door that exited outside into the yard. So she could have potentially shot somebody else trying to pull off this alibi of hers, right? And due to the physical evidence recovered at the scene, detectives believe that the victim was shot and killed in the living room and then dragged into the small bedroom adjacent to the living room behind the sofa, where the door was then closed. And the sofa was moved back in front of the door to block it from being opened. Detectives also know that the rug and table were rearranged after the homicide due to the dried blood and footprints that were found under the rug. A chemical named Blue Star was used in the investigation. Blue Star is a reagent used by forensics to reveal blood stains, particularly those that have been cleaned or otherwise invisible to the naked eye. The chemical works by producing some type of reaction that emits a bluish glow when it comes into contact with blood. The results of the Blue Star reagent showed me that there's a large amount of blood on the living room floor that looked as if it was cleaned with a mop. The blood appeared to have seeped into the cracks of the tiles as well as under the rug. See, pictures are in that probable cause that I can't show. The suspect also used a cleaning agent in an attempt to cover up the homicide and or clean the blood from the purple bedding and mop while hiding it in the laundry basket in the shower. Furthermore, the suspect partially covered Jason's body with clothing and blankets after the victim was dragged into the small back room. Vonita admitted that she and Jason argued on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, and Vonita also admitted to hearing several gunshots and not being able to find Jason. Vonita stated that she spoke with neighbors asking if they had heard the gunshots before admitting to then showering and leaving in Jason's silver BMW 325i. And the gunshots were heard sometime between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Saturday, November 23rd. And Jason was not seen alive again. Wow. Jason's Samsung cell phone was not located inside his apartment, and Jason's sister confirmed that she received the suspicious text from Jason's cell phone at 11:30 on November 23rd, and a second text message response from Jason's cell phone on Sunday, November 24th at 10:34 p.m., which said okay. Now, Vonita took Jason's BMW on Saturday, November 23rd, after hearing the gunshots and not being able to find Jason inside the small apartment. Right? Vonita kept the vehicle until she arrived back to the scene on November 29th, 2024 at 12:56 p.m. after she was, contacted by the sister saying Jason was dead. Wow. Vonita Lennon implied to patrol officers and detectives that the ex-girlfriend, identified as redacted, could be responsible for any criminal acts as well as the vandalism on the BMW, as far as breaking the windows go, from months ago. On December 1st, 2024 at 10:45 a.m., the detective spoke over the phone with the ex-girlfriend of Jason, and she said she had not spoken to Jason in months and did not know of his murder until his mother notified her the day after he was found on November 30th. And she told the detective that she was in Lee County over the weekend of November 22nd, 2024 through Monday morning, November 25th, 2024. And she said on Monday, November 25th, she drove to Pembroke Pines, Florida for an appointment in the early afternoon and then visited family in Miami-Dade before returning to Lee County on the evening of Monday, November 25th. And said that Vonita had messaged her through TikTok months ago telling her that she was Jason's wife now and that she should stay away from him. And the detective checked the cell phone number, and the number came back as a T-Mobile number. On December 2nd, 2024, Detective Benson authored a search warrant for Jason's BMW that Vonita Lennon was driving, and the Honorable Judge Tim Bailey signed it. Detective Benson and CSI executed a search warrant on the BMW at Westway Towing, located at 775 Northwest 5th Avenue, Fort Lauderdale. A black off-the-wall bag was located on the front passenger seat, which obtained Vonita Lennon's health cards, Vonita's alleged grandfather Medicaid card, and victim Jason's Wells Fargo debit credit Visa card. On December 3rd, 2024, the detective spoke with the manager of the Burger King, and they learned that Jason was supposed to be working a shift on Sunday, November 24th at 5 a.m., but Jason never showed up and no one could reach him. Jason never contacted anyone at Burger King after November 23rd, 2024, and never worked another shift. Now, detectives would get a search warrant for Vonita's Android Rover 4 Plus, and they downloaded all the information showing, her typical times that she would call Jason. And they noticed that she was calling Jason numerous times after the murder, trying to establish her alibi. And this was very unusual with the past time calls that, her and Jason would usually exchange between each other, right? And according to the cell phone extraction, the last time that Vonita attempted to call Jason was at 11:39 a.m. on November 24th, 2024, as if she was looking for him or trying to find out where his whereabouts was, knowing the whole time she had killed him and he was decomposing in that apartment that she was still in and out of, going back and forth to work and staying there the whole time until he was found. That's diabolical work. Messages in Vonita's cell phone also show that on November 28th, the day before Jason's body was found, deceased victim Jason sent Vonita $500 using Zelle and $20 using Cash App. The investigation and physical evidence showed that Jason was deceased on November 28th, 2024, and his family found his body on November 29th. So how was he sending her money, you guys? Wowzers. Yeah. It's the little things that get you caught. The devil's definitely in the details when Satan is doing his work. Now, the detectives received the T-Mobile cell phone record data back for the ex-girlfriend, and the records confirmed that she was nowhere near the victim's residence during the dates of November 23rd through 25th, and that the timeline that she gave the detective for the listed days was corroborated by her cell phone GPS. So the ex-girlfriend wasn't nowhere around, when this crime was committed to Jason, as the girlfriend Vonita, kept insinuating. Now, on December 6, 2024, at 8:50 p.m., detectives spoke to Jason's other ex-girlfriend. I guess this is a different one, identified as redacted, stated that she had not seen Jason in months, but said that they had occasionally messaged each other on Facebook Messenger. Wow, really? Could the previous girlfriend who, killed Jason, Vonita, had seen that message? Let's find out. The ex-girlfriend said that on November 24, 2024, at 1:58 a.m., she received a heart emoji from Jason through Facebook Messenger, and she thought that the use of the emoji and the timing was strange. And Blank sent screenshots to the detectives of the communication and the Facebook profile, right? And this is supposed to be allegedly Jason's profile that was sending her this heart emoji. Wow, really? So the detective got the search warrant for Jason's Facebook page and records. And on December 6, 2024, the detective received the historical T-Mobile records back for Vonita Lennon's cell phone. Wow, what does it say? Now, it's important to know that, Jason's cell phone was missing, but upon, them doing their research and getting the data and the records for the cell phones on Vonita and Jason, it came out that Vonita had Jason's phone the whole time. Obviously had it turned off or something. Vonita was with police from 12:57 p.m. to approximately 6:22 p.m. when patrol dropped Vonita off at Dixie Court, Fort Lauderdale. And 6:27 p.m., Jason's missing cell phone called someone while the cell phone was at or near the Dixie Court, Vonita's granddad's residence. There was no activity on deceased victims Jason's cell phone while Vonita Lennon was with police. So this is basically showing that Vonita was being trying to be calculated, making it seem as if Jason was still alive and sending phone calls, but the whole time she was with police, his phone was never in use, no activity. But all of a sudden when she gets dropped back off after questioning, here goes Jason's phone again, making ghost phone calls. Wow, really? That's crazy, nasty, diabolical work. Spooky work. Now, all the above cell phone records that we went through and GPS data contradicted Vonita's story and timeline. Vonita stated that she did not have Jason's cell phone. However, Jason's cell phone GPS data records show that his cell phone was being used and was in the same location as Vonita's cell phone after Jason's murder. Right? The records also show that Vonita was in possession of both her cell phone as well as victim's Jason's cell phone from the time she called her mother from the night of the murder until November 29th, after Jason's body was discovered and after Vonita spoke with police and the detectives. Now, detectives will go on to find video surveillance footage, and the footage would show that Vonita Lennon and Jason Bloomfield arrived home, and Jason was driving his BMW, and it was 4:52 p.m. on November 23rd. Before the murder. Jason was driving and he backed in the car. And the video was consistent with cell phone GPS historical information. Now, the surveillance video showed Vonita leaving in victim Jason's BMW at 7:22 a.m. on November 24th. But Vonita Lennon had told the detectives that she left on November 23rd at 10:30 p.m. Really? See, those little things get you caught. Now, ultimately, the little mistakes and the inconsistencies that Vonita made in this killing of her boyfriend, Jason Bloomfield, she will ultimately pay the price for this because the recovered video from the surveillance showed that the victim, Jason, and the suspect, Vonita, they arrived at the house on November 23rd, 2024, and Jason covered his BMW with a car cover, and both parties went off the camera going towards and inside their apartment sometime between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. on November 23rd, 2024. Witnesses heard gunshots, and moments after the gunshots, Vonita Lennon knocked on the neighbor's window and asked if they heard gunshots and asked if they were a snitch. Wow. Now that's crazy. The video did not show any other parties entering or exiting the premises of the apartments. And the video also did not show any mysterious black trucks, and no one never exited the residence and entered a vehicle. And then on November 24th, the next day, Jason was supposed to be at work at 5 a.m. but never arrived. This was corroborated by the general manager at the Burger King as well as the video surveillance. On the same day, Vonita uncovered Jason's BMW from that car cover at 7:22 that morning and drove away from the residence. And then the next day, November 25th, through November 29th, 2024, Jason's missing cell phone and Vonita's cell phone are in the same location, both being used. All right. And then on November 28th, 2025, one day before Jason's body is found, which is already decomposing. And then on November 28th, one day before Jason's decomposed body is found, Jason sent $500 to Vonita using Zelle. And this is why he's deceased. Detectives and CSI recovered 11 spent 9mm casings at the scene, and the Broward County medical examiner estimated that the victim, Jason Bloomfield, was shot approximately 12 times in the face, head, back, and arm. Wow. That is crazy. That's overkill. What's wrong with this lady? This woman lost her goddamn mind. 12 times? She shot this man she was supposed to be in love with 12 times. right? Then tried to cover it up. And check this out. Earlier, they said that they found, bullet holes going through the front door, bullets in front of the residence, right? Like shell casings, trying to make it seem as if, I think that, she was trying to stage it to as if, this girlfriend that she kept bringing up was, the one that was responsible that came over there and shot up, her ex-boyfriend, Jason, who she was now with. And, the problem with that was everything that she, said in her story, in her statement, ended up being debunked by her actions and her time and the GPS coordinates and everything like that. But yeah, man, it's very, very nefarious of this lady, how she did Jason Bloomfield, her boyfriend. Rest in peace to him, and love and condolences and peace to their family in their time of bereavement. And based on the video surveillance, Vonita's interview and sworn witness statements, the detective believes that Vonita Jaquez Lennon shot and killed Jason Bloomfield on November 23rd, 2024, between the hours of 10:30 p.m. and 11 o'clock p.m. Vonita then attempted to create an alibi by speaking to neighbors and sending text messages from the deceased Jason's cell phone to Jason's sister. The detective believes that Vonita then attempted to clean the scene using the mop and bleach and attempted to hide Jason's body in the back bedroom. The detectives believe that there is probable cause for the arrest of Vonita Jaquez Lennon, black female, date of birth December 17, 1987, for the first-degree murder with the firearm of victim Jason Bloomfield on November 23rd, 2024, at 912 Southwest 2nd Street, Unit 3, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At first, it was a second-degree murder with a firearm, but then they said they're coming back and, they double back on it and said first-degree murder with a firearm for her victim, Jason Bloomfield, her boyfriend. Now, according to court documents, they first wanted to charge her with first-degree murder, but then ultimately, as a result, the undersigned detectives had probable cause to believe that Vonita Jaquez Lennon, right, black female, date of birth 12/17/87, committed second-degree murder with a firearm, contrary to FSFS code. The offense set forward in the foregoing affidavit is contrary to the statute in such case made and provided, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Florida. The affidavit is hereby submitted bearing your affirmed signature, supported by oath or affirmation in compliance with the code. I, Detective Jason Wood, have been duly sworn, say that the facts contained herein are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. And that was the probable cause. And it was 40 pages long, y'all, and I gave you the rundown. And it's kind of crazy that this story was not really covered that much in the news. I haven't seen any news broadcasts, with news anchors speaking about it and news journalists covering the story in the actual news media. So I found that kind of crazy, even though, it did make the news articles. It just didn't come out with video footage showing any of these proceedings, her arrest, the incident where it happened, the block where it happened, the apartments. We don't see no footage of none of that. So I kind of found that kind of suspicious as well. She wrote in the caption acting as if, she tried everything that she could to try to save Jason that day. But we all know that that's cap. This was just another way of trying to make herself look good, right? To try to take off the guilt from her, being that she was the one that, did all these things to Jason. And eventually it all caught up with her. And she pleaded not guilty to this. So, she's now being held without a bond and she awaits further legal proceedings. So, y'all get in the comment section and y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire ordeal. Did she go too far by killing her boyfriend, Jason? Right? What was it that made her snap like this? Right? Was it, that she seen it was still interaction with Jason and one of the exes, and she thought it was, interaction with Jason and one of the exes? Remember, it was two different ones. And so, all this was going on simultaneously that could have possibly, led to her jealousy and leading up to his death. And another attempt to cover up her murderous crime, right? She took a picture and put it on TikTok of her looking as if she was trying to give Jason CPR, had her hands on his chest while he laid there. And it looked like he was laying in a bed. And they said when they found Jason's body, he was on the floor going into the entrance of that small bedroom that nobody ever went into in their apartment, right? So, how was he on the bed? I think he was deceased already when she was looking as if she was trying to give him CPR to save him. Okay, this is the alibi that I think she was trying to create also. And, it just doesn't explain that when they found his body, he was half dressed. And they said, this in the court documents, but in the picture, you see him having, clothes on or whatnot. So, I don't know what's really going on with the picture, but she thought she was slick by uploading the picture on December 1st, right? Saying she tried to save him, Jason, I hate that this happened. I tried to save you, this and that. But, the picture is not adding up to what the crime scene, is saying in the court documents. So y'all get in the comment section and y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire situation. And until the next time, this is OG Jucario TV with the latest in rap, hip hop, celebrity, and urban news. You're watching the Rundown Podcast. I appreciate everybody for spending with me. I appreciate all my subscribers for sliding with your boy every time. And say, hey man, keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button, and look, turn on post notification so we can slide whenever I get the drop. You already know what it is, man. It's deep in the Buddha, her, you hear me? And guess what? I'm gone.